I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, the terrible, the pretty amazing, and all around just a lot of things.
Sometimes I be riding your face and hit like genjutsu in place. That's how it be though. Nothing but great effort just to get a C though. Eyes watching but we never seem to be though.
So it's been a while since we've talked about the Boruto anime. I was far behind, but I just recently caught up to Boruto Naruto Next Generations. I believe it was episode 59, where pretty much Boruto and Shikadai just finished having their fight. But there was quite a bit that we had to trudge through to get to this moment. I guess I want to start off with saying just a little tap into this, that the recap of what Boruto is doing with the movie, which I dreaded it. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely dreaded getting to this point because I went through it with the manga. I seen the movie like 4 or 5 times already. I was dreading it. But I have to say, especially in comparison to something like Dragon Ball Super, when Dragon Ball Super did the 2 movie recaps of the Resurrection F and the Battle of Gods, I gotta say that Boruto absolutely is annihilating it. It's doing way better than what Dragon Ball Super did. All of the changes, all of the additions. It is literally a 180 of just insanity in comparison to Dragon Ball Super's. Dragon Ball Super, the art and animation was lackluster in many places. It was just kind of like, with the Boruto Naruto, the movie recap that they're doing in the anime right now, I can safely say that it is actually worth people's time. But before we jump into all of that stuff, let's backtrack a little bit because there was quite a bit of terrible, just downright terrible things that we had to grudge through in order to get to that point. Let's start off with the Byakuya gang stuff. I ain't gonna lie, that is what really stopped me from watching Boruto for a long time. I just lost a lot of interest in that little mini arc. The best thing that arc did is it gave character development to Shikadai so that he's not just a complete 100% clone of his father. But I'm not gonna lie, that arc is just kind of like, it's pretty much, you know, this group, the Byakuya gang, they're robbing things in Konoha, and they're trying to pull all these dastardly deeds, and then they're trying to eventually rob some technology from Katatsuke, the guy that, you know, the scientist motherfucker that creates all those inventions for Konoha, whatever. And during the process, Shikadai runs into the kid, or one of the kids that, or pretty much the only kid, a part of that group, and they are playing shogi, which was really cool and reminiscent. I think Boruto totes a fine line of doing things like what Naruto did, but then putting its own twist on it, because, you know, Shikamaru, one of the things that he did always, you know, he played shogi with whoever or whatever, and that was how he went through things. Same thing in there, but Shikadai, it gave him some really interesting character development. It took away a lot of that lazy Shikamaru-esque character that took Shikamaru a long time. Shikamaru, he was lazy and said everything was a drag up until what? Especially in original Naruto, it wasn't until like the Sasuke retrieval where he finally said, okay, you know, even though things are a drag, I gotta do what I gotta do. This arc right there, that's what it provided for Shikadai. It gave him some good character development, but man, it just felt stale. It felt like straight up filler, and I just really wasn't digging it. That's really what threw me out of the Boruto story for a while, the anime at the very least. I was just like, I don't really care too much. The kid, you know, his backstory and being, you know, under genjutsu for all of his life pretty much since he saw his parents die. It was like, it was okay-ish at best, but it just really was like, I just want to go and advance in, you know, the plot of Boruto, you know what I'm saying? So giving Shikadai character development, but at the cost of just, it wasn't all that arc. And then following that arc, there was just like these episodes that is like, what are you guys doing down there at Period? Like seriously, the episode where Sumire and her group, I understand that they're trying to give individual attention to these characters, but do it in a way that's at least interesting. Like, I do not want to see Sumire and 2 other girls chasing down a monkey for their lunch. Like, I'm a 27-year-old man. Why am I seeing this? You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I know that this is aimed for children, but that was just borderline bad, like horrible, terrible. Like some of those episodes, again, all of them, they were trying to do something similar to like what My Hero Academia does, where it gives character development to all of the kids in class 1A, but at the cost of like, it just feels so stale and boring, opposed to My Hero. They, you know, keep things interesting for the most part when you're getting that development. With this, like Sumire and her, you know, team, and now she's, you know, getting in a part of a team or whatever. The best thing that it did is like, okay, they got a little bit more introduced on who Sumire really is, you know, Nue and all of that stuff, but I think those episodes, another good thing that it provides, I guess, is the fact that we get to see the senseis and them really pushing forth. We get to see Hanabi, we get to see Moegi, Udon, but yo, then the episode where Udon is basically guiding Iwabe, Metal, and Denki into, like, you know, they're doing a mission, whatever, a movie, and like it ends off with Udon doing a jutsu using his snot. Bro, I'm like, I can't believe, like, I know that's a part of Udon's character, you know, he always has snot dripping down and shit like that, but come on, like, some of the humor in there is like honestly, just, I would highly recommend, if you don't want to deal with the bullshit. You lose some context, again, because there is some development that is carried over, like, even going as far back to arcs that I've already talked about, when they went to the village hidden in the mist, or the Bloody Mist village, or they don't like being called Bloody Mist village anymore. That Kagura character, he was brought back, or the reference of, you know, what happened that day when we got to the exams, and we see, you know, the Mizukage show up. So some of these things do get carried over, and it does add, but again, it just feels like a waste of time. Especially, I feel as though we got introduced and built up with a lot of these characters that, in the grand scheme of things, unless the anime really makes a lot of changes compared to where the manga's at and what the manga's done since the end of the Boruto Naruto the movie recap, a lot of these characters aren't going to matter. Like, okay, Sumire gets brought back in the manga at some given point, but she's not really all that, you know what I'm saying? She's not that central to anything at this point. And then I'm curious what's going to happen with Denki and Iwabe, like, because I haven't seen any hide nor hair of them in the manga where we're at right now, so I'm kind of questioning a lot of, like, why are we getting built up with a lot of these characters, Sumire's team, Denki, Iwabe, if they're not going to really be a part of the core? Again, I think Period is trying to model after the old Konoha 11, but doing it right, like what My Hero does. We're giving each of them individual character development, but it serves no purpose if these characters are not going to be relevant later on in the series, which I don't think they are going to be. Like, what happened to a lot of these characters where we're at in the manga? And the manga is just mainly focusing in on Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki, and we might see one or two here or there, but it's really not focusing in on them. So just those episodes in general, if you really want to skip the bullcrap, I'll tell you, it does give a little bit of cool character development. It builds up seeing the senseis and stuff like that interacting with the characters. But Boruto's birthday, I want to say that's episode 51, is where the exams begin and a lot of things really start to kick off. But again, there's also context, if you haven't seen prior episodes, of Toneri Otsutsuki's involvement and stuff. So it's a dice roll, so to speak, of what you're gonna miss. But if you compare it to, okay, missing out on some cool pieces, but I get to skip a lot of just to get to the Chunin exam, so I'd say honestly just go straight to Boruto's birthday. Now, with that being said, since I've mentioned Toneri Otsutsuki, let's talk about him, because throughout Boruto, especially earlier on when we had that whole arc of people getting possessed or whatever by the whole Nue Sumire situation, whatever, Toneri was very heavily involved, that he wanted to give Boruto powers. He wanted to build Boruto up to essentially be the next Naruto and the next savior of whatever was to come. Now, starting off in the, you know, Chunin exams era or whatever, the, you know, that arc in particular, Toneri immediately gets pretty much bodied. He is now frozen for 10,000 years. So what was the point of having Toneri for like 50 episodes in the wings of, like, man, you know, he's gonna be good now? Apparently this is based off of Masashi Kishimoto's original script for Boruto Naruto the movie. This is originally what he intended. He intended it to start off and have Toneri involved and then immediately get bodied, because, in case people forget, Toneri is an Otsutsuki. He's just like modern day version, but a lot of these people like Kaguya and her cousins, Momoshiki, Kenshiki, Urashiki, they're all like older ones, so he's just a descendant of all of them. And, you know, Urashiki and all of them, they look down because Kaguya mated with a human and created all of these people. So Kaguya's a traitor to them. They really want to just body the crap out of Kaguya, not realizing that she's already gone, although technically she's sealed away in the moon. They could actually, if they really wanted to, hey, you know, you did us dirty, we want to, even though you're sealed away and you got your ass whooped, we're gonna bring you back just to give you one more ass whooping. But I don't even think they really want that smoke. I don't think they want that smoke, because when Momoshiki was like, nah, you know, thankfully they handled that anyway, you know, so I don't gotta get my hands dirty. Probably they don't want no smoke with Kaguya, because Kaguya was pretty impressive. I mean, she was the strongest villain of the original Naruto manga, even though I hate saying that because Uchiha Madara, I'm just saying. But yeah, Kaguya was the strongest, so I don't think they really necessarily wanted to go through all that, because it would have been a hassle, even though it was 2-on-1. Let's quickly talk about the Zetsus that were being awakened. I think that that's something definitely immediately I could say that the anime is doing better to showcase why they are aware and why they are, you know, an alert of the Momoshiki Otsutsuki, the Otsutsuki clan in general, attacking because these white Zetsu are, reviving, which I thought that was kind of cool. That's where I started to notice, Boruto's getting really interesting again when we got Konohamaru, Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki fighting this three-headed white Zetsu, reminding me of like some parasite shit or whatever. I was like, okay, we're getting interesting, and again, it just builds up to like something really nasty is coming. Let's talk about the new Otsutsuki member, Urashiki. For starters, we know he's strong because like he bodied Tonetti. Poor Tonetti. Like again, it starts between Tonetti and Sumide, Iwabe. Like a lot of these things is like, why build them up for like 50 episodes if they're really not gonna be much afterwards? Because again, Tonetti is frozen for 10,000 years. I don't know if something happens to Urashiki, if he's gonna immediately get unfrozen, or can somebody help Tonetti, or is he just gonna be up there like forever? That's it. It's the end of Tonetti. Like, come on, what's going on here? But again, if that's an original idea from Masashi Kishimoto, it's probably R.I.P. Tonetti, and honestly, it makes me feel like should not included him, like, the way they made him like this big deal from the jump of Boruto, if he wasn't gonna really, what I'm saying, he's frozen and done. And they knew that, obviously, if they're going off of Kishimoto's original draft. So yeah, but Urashiki, he seems like out of the three Otsutsuki, he's the one that has character, because a lot of people complained that Momoshiki and Kinshiki, they didn't really have personality. They were like Kaguya. I would argue at least Kaguya had connections here or there. They're just like, hey, aliens from outer space that are bland. And Urashiki really provides that character. I think if Urashiki was in the movie, a lot of people would have had less to say regarding like, oh, that they're just boring and stale, because Urashiki is hilarious. Like when he was making moves, when he attacked Gaara on the train, and he knows a lot, so he's been investigating and doing his due diligence. I'm curious though, is Urashiki gonna suffer the same fate as a Tonetti, where the reason why he was able to get cut out of the movie is because maybe Momoshiki and Kinshiki are going to just body him quickly before things really start to, surface and, get into the meat of stuff. Maybe Urashiki's going to do something, and right before they interrupt the Chunin exams, then they're going to just quickly body Urashiki, and oh yeah, well, he was here, but he didn't really serve him a purpose. Because if that's the case, then again, do we really need to go back to Kishimoto's draft? There's just a lot of small little things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, I'm just saying. A lot of things did play beat by beat, pretty much similar to how they did in the movie, although there was a little bit more funny stuff like Killer Bee. There was more rapping than we got in the movie. Obviously, they had to cut stuff out, but like, it's weird. You would think all these years Bee would have developed a little bit to not be rapping before he's about to get obliterated and, sucked up, which Otsutsuki are reminding me of the Akatsuki, trying to, swallow up the tail beast. So that's kind of a concept that was reused, and again, that was in the movie as well, but them trying to get the tail beast, to get the chakra out of them because of the fruit and all that. The Akatsuki did that so many years ago. Not a big thing of like, oh my god, they're really it's whatever. Again, there's a lot of things that are going to be similar. It seems as though, again, based on the draft that Kishimoto gave them, there's points that are going to stick. There's points that are going to stick. Boruto is going to cheat and use that mechanism on his arm. Certain things are going to play. Boruto is going to fight the kid that is from B's village. Like, certain things are going to be staples, but some things around them are, again, changing. Like, one big thing, which I'm going to jump to this and then we'll jump back a little bit, was Boruto versus Shikadai. The result was slightly, the result was the same. Boruto still won, but the way he won was a little bit different, if I'm not mistaken. It was just slightly altered, not really much change. But the big change that I'm kind of curious, okay, it's got to happen at some point, maybe it'll happen in the finals, is Boruto still hasn't been revealed to be a cheater. And that's really interesting because, following the Shikadai fight, Boruto was supposed to get caught. Naruto jumps down, grabs his arm, and disqualifies him. That hasn't happened yet. And now Boruto's headed towards the finals to fight against Gaara's son. Which, let's talk about one of the best things that the Boruto anime has done with this readaptation. It is giving a lot more to the Chunin exams, the actual fights themselves, and the characters themselves. Like, Gaara's son is easily the most interesting addition. Well, he was in, the Chunin exam, but in the anime, the way they're building him up and everything, this cocky nature, finding out a little bit of his backstory, how Gaara found him, because in case people don't know, because a lot of people are like, well, who's the mother? No, Gaara adopted this kid. His name is Shinki. He adopted him and kind of brought him in. His power is very similar to Gaara, but he uses black iron sand, I believe, and he kind of can manipulate it or whatever, so very similar to Gaara. Honestly, the fight between him, Shiki, and Metal Lee, when, Iwabe and Denki were down, which, yo, I gotta give it to Metal Lee. He tried, yo, and they actually made it look a little bit brutal. I wish they would have dragged it out even further. You see Metal Lee, his hand is bleeding. It was giving me strong reminiscent vibes of what their fathers did, assuming that Metal's father is Rock Lee, which Lee it should be or whatever, unless he like even took the name. But you know what I'm saying, it really gave me that vibe, but it was just a bit short, like longer than the movie, but still a bit too short. Like I would have loved to see Metal really go in and kick some real, you know what I'm saying, but he gave it his all, and the shyness that Metal has showcased throughout Boruto up until now was gone, so it shows development on his side as well. But overall, that guy, Shinki, he's really interesting. Even the fight with Chocho, y'all know how I feel about Chocho. I don't rock with Chocho, but even Chocho, having Choji there in the stands, and Karui, I believe her name is, having them there watching the fight, and her giving her all, even Chocho, and I can't believe I'm giving Chocho praise, but I gotta call him as I see him, and honestly, that fight, even with Chocho against Shinki, she did her thing, yo. She even went to certain forms that she didn't want to use because, you know, she has that girly thing or whatever, and she gave her all. Seeing Choji being like the one that's more concerned than Karui, like Karui's like, she's gonna be fine. And he's like, oh no, my poor Chocho. I'm sorry, that was hilarious. That was great. And again, it showcases Shinki ain't nothing to mess with. Like and that cockiness is what's really allowing the other characters to be like, yo, we gotta take him down. He's talking all this reckless and all of this stuff. We gotta get him. Mitsuki, which Orochimaru told him. Again, all of this context makes things so much more interesting than, you know, the movie kind of, we didn't really know too much about any of these people, you know. Now that we have development with all of them, Mitsuki, Orochimaru told him, you can't show your full powers. That sage mode and all that shit, you're not going to be able to stay with them anymore. So he has to hold back, but Shinki caught it when he was about to go sage mode against some crusty that he was fighting or whatever. I'm curious if Mitsuki's going to say, nah, and just throw it all in his fight against Shinki, because Shinki was like, yo, you seen what I did to her? You seen what I did to that little butterball over there? If you don't use that power, I'm gonna do that to you. I want to see, I guess I don't want to see Mitsuki get thrown out of the village, which he's not, but like, I want to see him use that full power and really give Shinki an ass whipping. I want to see Shinki squirm for his life, even if it's for a moment. Just go Sage Mode for a moment and blow that motherfucker away, because he's talking too reckless. But more than likely, it's going to be the finals of Boruto versus Shinki. That's more than likely what I see. And then he's probably going to get caught for cheating. But man, Boruto, it's been one hell of a ride. It was something that was in the original, obviously, movie or whatever. But another cool thing is, you know, the relationship between Boruto and Sasuke. Little elements that I thought made things work well as well was Boruto was initially training with Konohamaru to learn the Rasengan. Sasuke actually went to Konohamaru's doorstep and was like, yo, he's my student now, but thank you, and thank you for taking care of my daughter and getting her to that point. So little elements like that, because I don't even remember if Konohamaru and Sasuke have ever interacted. So seeing stuff like that, cool little interactions, again, it's just all around adding little context and substance that makes the Boruto anime actually worth watching, even though it's a movie recap. Like right now, I gotta say, Boruto is on fire on a movie recap. It's weird to say that, but it is. And all around Boruto, it did a 180, because the Byakuya gang, everything, not everything, but a good chunk of the episodes prior to this, they were rough. They were rough, but once Boruto's birthday, or I can't remember if the Zetsu episode was prior to that or after that, whatever, but those episodes and on so far up until episode 59 at the very least have been amazing. Seeing, you know, even the interactions between, of course, Naruto and Sasuke, Boruto's relationship with Naruto, I think something that changes it, where it makes it that, okay, in the movie everybody's like, Boruto, you're a little brat, your father's a Hokage, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, the little promise that was set forth of, he said, yo, just, I don't care, you missed out on my birthday, whatever, don't miss my sister's birthday or we're gonna have a problem. And he said, as a man, promise me. And since Naruto broke that promise, that gives him more of a reason to be the way he is. It's like, okay, it's not just some spoiled shit. It's like, bro, you ruined my little sister's birthday and you promised me that you wouldn't. So it gives a little bit more validity to Boruto's ways. I'm not gonna say that it completely vindicates him of like, yeah, be a little spoiled brat. Your father's running a village full of people, but nah, screw that guy. Like, doesn't necessarily vindicate it, but it still nonetheless adds a little bit more of like, I understand why Boruto was like that, and I understand even more more now that we see like, yo, he broke a promise and ruined his little sister's birthday after promising he wouldn't. So cool stuff there. I'm kind of curious, if you have not been following the Boruto anime, based on everything I said, are you gonna check it out? Again, you can watch any episode, you know, whatever, but from Boruto's birthday on is where it really picks up. But there is some cool character development prior to that. I'm just curious as to how much of that is going to be worthwhile later on in the series. Are we gonna get more Iwabe and Denki and all of these characters after the Naruto the movie recap, Boruto Naruto movie recap, or they're just gonna be worthless? And if you have, what do you think? For starters, do you think that Boruto's movie recap is being handled way better than Super? I honestly don't see how anybody could say otherwise. I truly think Boruto they're nailing it. This is how, if you're gonna make a movie recap in anime form, this is how you do it, because you got my attention and I'm sick to death of that content. But the anime is doing it right and making it really interesting and exciting. So Boruto anime, check it out from Boruto's birthday up. It's really hype right now. It's actually being very heavily slept on because it's a movie recap, but if it's good, it's good, and I'm gonna call it as I see it. It's awesome. Go check it out. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, stalk my Facebook, and follow me on Twitch to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day.
Making major moves, laughing at the haters lose. We don't give a fuck, virginity intact, cream stack. Paper rules, if you heard it, best believe that. But now it's whatever, one day I'll be your favorite, but never.